Welcome to Dashing Dish. Traveling the world is a wonderful experience, but tasting the food is even better. Today, my mom, who loves to explore the world, is going to be joining me in the kitchen as we taste our way through India, Greece, Thailand, and Italy. Our trip around the world includes curry chicken salad, placed on a bed of apples for a perfect blend of flavors. One of my personal favorite lunches, gluten-free, packed with protein, Thai Quinoa Bowls. Let's go to the Instapot for a Mediterranean flavor with Clean Eating Greek Gyros. And it wouldn't be a trip around the world without pasta. This easy Italian-inspired chicken is delicious, and it has a sun-dried tomato sauce that is the star of the dish. We're taking a trip around the world with our favorite foods, coming up. We're taking a trip around the world today, and I'm starting with an Indian dish. And I remember the very first time I attempted an Indian cuisine, I was so nervous. And to be honest, it's not one that I have a whole lot, so I don't have a lot of experience with it. But one thing that I found is really easy to do if you're a beginner or you're newer like me, is to start with the spices. So if you try your hand at any dish with curry powder, it's a guaranteed way to really get a good success with an Indian dish, because it's basically just a mild spice that gives a lot of flavor to any dish. So I'm gonna start by making a curry chicken salad. And I'm gonna do a ½ teaspoon of curry powder into 2 cups of chicken. So again, if you're newer to this whole Indian cuisine, then this is a great way to start. I'm also gonna do 1 tablespoon of honey, just for a little bit of sweetness to go with that spice. Just a little pinch of salt. And I love doing chicken salad, especially for lunch, because you really can just make it your own with whatever you have in the fridge. And it's a great way to use up cooked chicken. I have a ½ cup of Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is one of my favorite tricks when it comes to chicken salad or egg salad to swap out the mayo. And then about a 1/3 cup of pecans or any type of nut that you like. So I'm gonna give this a little mix here. Okay, so that looks good. Now I'm gonna add some celery and some grapes. And what I like about adding celery is that it gives it a little bit of crunch. Whenever I'm making any type of salad, I like to add something that gives it texture. So nuts, celery, anything that's kind of crunchy is really good to have in a salad, especially chicken salad, since it's mostly creamy. So just about 1 stalk, and you can't go wrong. It's kind of to taste with that. And then same with grapes. I really like the juicy flavor that they bring out in the chicken salad. And a lot of times I'll make a really big batch of this and I'll have it in my fridge, so if I need a quick, easy lunch, then I have it ready to go in the fridge. So we're gonna mix in some of those grapes there. And another thing about Indian spices is that they have a beautiful smell and color to them, so it really adds to every dish. Now I'm gonna share a little tip that I like to do with chicken salad. And this isn't something that you have to do, but try it out. It's actually really delicious, and it's also nutritious and fun. I just take a big apple and I cut it down into slices like that. And then this is a really great way to enjoy and serve your chicken salad, is right onto an apple slice. And you could do this also on a bed of lettuce, a lettuce wrap, a whole grain piece of toast, however you like your chicken salad. But I find that the apple works really well with all of these flavors and the spices. So there you go. Now coming up next, my mom is going to be joining me in the kitchen as we explore a Thai cuisine. Well, my mom is joining me today, and she's quite the traveler, and so I thought, what a better person to come join me and just kind of share all her different experiences around the world. We're gonna be making a Thai quinoa salad with a little bit of a crunch to it, so we have all kinds of veggies and peanuts to give crunch, and then we have some quinoa that we're gonna add it to. So it's kind of like a cold salad that could stay well in the fridge for lunch or for side dishes throughout the week. So it really is a good versatile dish. I'm gonna start with the dressing for this, and it's super simple. We have 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 3 tablespoons of honey. And Mom, I'll just have you while I'm making the dressing,
okay,
cut up that red pepper and 2 cucumbers.
Okay, wonderful.
And we have a 1/4 cup of sweetener. A little bit of sweet to go with the salt of the soy sauce and also the acidicness of the lemon juice that we're gonna add. Then a 1/4 cup of peanut butter. And like I said, this is what I love about Thai food, is a lot of the dishes include peanut butter in their sauces, so you can't go wrong in my book.
A lot of crunch too.
Yeah. 1/2 teaspoon of ginger and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Then we have 1 tablespoon of lemon juice and 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stir this. So Mom, can you tell me a little bit about your trip to Thailand and what you remember from it? What was most memorable?
Sure, well, I remember food, number one, because like you, I like a lot of vegetables and everything is very fresh, crunchy. And besides peanuts and, you know, the peanut butter type flavor that you like, they use a lot of lemongrass too. And so I just love the freshness of the food. But the one thing that I remember about that particular trip is how hot it was. We went in June, probably not the best time to go. And any woman watching the show will know that, you know, you don't want bad hair for pictures. It was so hot when we went. We went swimming in the ocean, and the ocean actually felt like a sauna.
Wow.
So our hair, not good for pictures at all.
That's for sure.
But
it's kind of like Florida in the summertime, right?
Even more humid, if you could imagine that.
Well, I'm glad that you went and I didn't when it was summer in Thailand. Because my hair would be just absolutely humongous. I already have big hair. You put me in humidity and it's just, it's crazy, it's wild. So I'm gonna cut up these cucumbers while you finish up the pepper.
Okay, great.
And I'm gonna add these to the bowl, and then when we give that a little toss, then we can add our dressing. Okay, so Mom, this looks really great now that you stirred in the dressing, and if you wanted to make this ahead of time, you can just leave the dressing off until you're ready to serve it. So we have some edamame here, some shredded carrots, you can go ahead and add that.
Right.
And it's really just to taste, just like any salad with toppings. It's just to your taste. And this is where the crunch comes in and the flavor, and then some peanuts. So I did about 1/2 cup in my recipe, but again, really just to taste. So you could just top it like that and it looks really pretty. Even some cilantro would go really good with this, or you could stir in the toppings, but I think it looks great. What do you think?
Beautiful.
And that dressing is absolutely delicious and packed with flavor. So coming up next, we're gonna take a trip to the Mediterranean side of the world, where we're gonna be making an Instapot gyro.
Sounds yummy.
Coming up next, we're going to Greece with these clean eating gyros. Wrapped in a warm pita and served with feta, tomatoes, onions, and hummus, these gyros are perfect for lunch or dinner. You know, we didn't talk about anything with Greece. Do you want me to ask her a question? So Mom, I know you went to Greece. What was one of your favorite memories from Greece?
Well, actually, we were going to Greece and our trip got canceled, but the good news is we're going to go next year, actually in October.
Okay, well, it's probably okay that we didn't talk about it because you didn't really go.
I know. I don't know.
Okay.
I can tell you about a good Greek meal I had at Mediterranean the other day.
Oh my gosh. Oh boy. All right, well, we're gonna move on to one of my personal favorite cuisines, which is Mediterranean. Mom, do you like Mediterranean? Actually, one of our favorite restaurants is Mediterranean, more Lebanese, but we love anything that is on a pita with feta and hummus, which is what we have here, so I know that you'll like this. We're starting out with a pork tenderloin. Now, if you want to cut all the visible fat off before you start, you can always do that. I'm gonna start by seasoning my pork tenderloin, and Mom, you can cut up some of this red onion, just about half, really finely diced. If you don't like onion, you can always leave it out, of course. So I'm just gonna season the meat. I'm gonna do 1.5 teaspoons of salt, and that seems like a lot of salt, but we have about 2 pounds of pork tenderloin. So I always say 1 teaspoon of salt per pound of meat is a good ratio. So even though it seems like a lot, it'll add a lot of flavor. We're gonna do about 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. And I'm gonna eyeball this, just about a teaspoon of dried oregano, which is really good Greek flavor. Now, I'm going to add it to the Instapot, which I already put on saute mode. And saute mode is basically just a way to quickly cook the pork on the outside. And if you have any cut of meat that you're putting in the Instapot, I like to do that first so that it sautés and gets the flavor locked in there. If you're doing it in the crock pot, you can put it in a saute pan on your stovetop and just saute it until it's brown on both sides of the meat. It's just an optional step, you don't have to do it, but I think it adds a lot of flavor. So I'm gonna add this to the Instapot, and then we can add the onion in there as well. So you can hear that sizzle, so that's how you know that it's hot, which is great. I'm gonna add the rest of this garlic. Get all the flavor in there.
Wow, you can smell the garlic already.
Yeah, it smells good, doesn't it?
It smells wonderful.
And that's really, when you're thinking about Mediterranean cooking, I think about oregano and I think of garlic, which are 2 really delicious flavors. So once you get it in there, you want to just cook it for a few minutes on each side, just like I said, to kind of cook the outside. That will also open up and bloom all the spices, which is where a lot of the flavor is. So Mom, you can also add those onions to the Instapot. Now, like I said, if you were doing this in a Dutch oven, you could do that as well. You could just saute it in the Dutch oven first before adding it to your oven. And with a crock pot, it's just a longer, slower cooking process, but Instapots are wonderful for quick cooking with that same flavor where the meat shreds apart and is really flavorful. And then Mom, we also have some delicious toppings to go on our gyros. Once this meat is cooked up, we're gonna add some cucumber, some tomato, some feta. You could even do some raw onion and some hummus on there. And I like to toast my pita or warm it up, and then you can just wrap the meat inside and it's really tender and flavorful. Now I'm gonna give this a quick flip. Okay, so that looks good. Now to the Instapot, I'm also gonna add 3 tablespoons of lemon juice.
Oh, that's another good Mediterranean flavor, lemon juice.
Yep. And 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar. And then in addition to that, because we're doing the Instapot, if you did this in a crock pot as well, you would want to add just a little bit of liquid. So you could either do chicken stock or just water. So I have a 1/4 cup of water. And that just prevents the meat from getting dried out. It really just absorbs that water and it makes the meat really tender. So now I'm gonna put the top on my Instapot. And what you wanna do with an Instapot is you wanna make sure that it's sealed so that it won't let all the steam out. You wanna seal it. And then you just wanna put it on pressure cook and for 15 minutes. Whenever I'm doing meat in an Instapot, I do 15 to 20 minutes depending on how much meat and how well I like it cooked. A lot of times if it's frozen, I go on the 20-minute side. Then I let the steam release naturally. I find that gives the meat the most tender flavor. If you're doing this in the crock pot, I would say 8 hours on low is gonna be your best bet. If you really needed it done quickly, you could do 4 hours on high. So Mom, those toppings look wonderful. When this is done, we're gonna top our pita with all these wonderful toppings. So coming up next, we're gonna head over to the last stop around the world, which is Italy, and we're gonna make one of your most memorable meals on all of your trips.
Sounds amazing.
Trying cuisines from all around the world can be one of the best ways to expand your palate. A great way to start is by making a familiar recipe with one new ingredient, or as a side dish to a main meal. Instead of attempting a complicated recipe with lots of new ingredients, try cooking one simple dish that incorporates one or two new things. Sometimes when we look at the world, it can be overwhelming to think about all the people that need help. There are people that travel to third world countries, people that deal with water cleaning programs, and the list goes on. And sometimes we can be sitting at home and think about how we can really make a difference. And although it's really necessary and wonderful that people travel around the world to do amazing things, sometimes we neglect the fact that some of the best work that we can do is right inside our own home. Whether it's going to a neighbor's house and bringing a plate of cookies, or just simply spending time investing in your children or your family's lives. And although it may not seem like much, if we impact our family and our community, it can have a ripple effect and impact generations to come. Coming up next, our trip around the world wouldn't be complete without a stop in Italy. This easy Italian-inspired chicken and mozzarella pasta is full of rich flavor with a sun-dried tomato sauce. So we're rounding out the show with the trip to Italy, one of your favorite places to visit. My mom and my dad just rave about Italy. And you've been multiple places, haven't you?
Multiple times to Italy in multiple cities.
And what would you say is your favorite city?
You know, that's really hard, but I love Firenze, which is Florence, Italy, for the history, the art, the food, of course.
Mm-hmm.
The people of Italy are so beautiful.
And I know that you told me you took some cooking classes there?
I did, and my favorite experience was at La Garga del Cucino, and it's a woman and her husband, and now her son runs it, but she was Canadian who met a man from Italy, and they opened a restaurant, and it's a cooking school. And we made homemade pasta.
Oh, delicious.
And, that was a lot of fun, but I'll tell you, because you know I do not love to cook like you. Pasta is quite the experience to make, and after making it, I thought, wow, it is so delicious. But the prep that was involved in making it, I thought, you know what, it's gone in 5 minutes because, you know, people love it. I don't know that I'd make it homemade. But the good news is, you know, you can find a lot of really good homemade pasta today.
Yeah, that's true. I do agree. I think that that's how I feel every Thanksgiving. I'm like, wait a minute. I spent a week to prepare. All of you women out there who make the food for Thanksgiving, you know what I mean. It's gone in a second. But it really is the experience. And I think that that's a really incredible experience to be able to say you not only ate true authentic Italian food, but you cooked it in a cooking school.
That's right.
And you told me one of your favorite dishes was a pasta dish that you made with the homemade pasta, like you said, but it had sun-dried tomato, basil, a cream sauce, and chicken. So that's what we recreated.
I'm excited.
And Mom, I'll have you take these sun-dried tomatoes. I get the kind that are just dehydrated, not packed in oil. But if all you can find is the kind in oil, no problem. Just strain off the extra oil because you really don't need it for this dish. The creamy sauce is definitely decadent enough. So I'm taking 2 chicken breasts and I cut them up and I'm sauteing them in the pan here just till they're golden brown on both sides. So just a few minutes. And then I'm gonna start my cream sauce in the same saute pan as the chicken. So you really don't need to take the chicken out. You can just add the cream sauce right to that. So Mom, tell me, what was another really exciting memory that you had from Italy?
Well, one of them was staying in Venice, and you know, taking the gondola, of course, you know, just how quaint the whole entire city is. And, you know, it's funny because you had asked me earlier before we actually, you know, were on the show today, you know, what were my food memories? And I'll tell you that I had a fabulous meal of fish in Venice that was just amazing, as well as the homemade pasta in Florence. So memorable meals in Italy. In fact, too much food. And the gelato, oh my gosh, the gelato. We ate, Dad and I ate gelato.
I know, Dad was in
every
heaven.
night, right.
So to the chicken, I added a ½ teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of paprika, and a teaspoon of garlic, minced garlic, and 1 cup of milk of choice. I'm also now adding a softened 8-ounce block of cream cheese. Now, you might be wondering, you know, how does the sauce come out that it's thick and creamy, and, you know, do I need to add a roux, a flour, a thickener? Nope, the good old cream cheese does the job, which makes it really easy, but also really flavorful, of course. So I like Greek yogurt cream cheese or 1/3 less fat for this recipe. So we're just gonna kind of add it in, and the heat will kind of melt that cream cheese, and it will turn out to be a nice creamy thick sauce in just a few minutes here. So I added 1 cup of cheese. You could do Asiago, Parmesan, or mozzarella. So any type of shredded cheese that's white, that's flavorful, would be perfect for this dish. And you can see how the cream cheese is now melting. Doesn't that look so good? And now the chicken is cooked
so
through.
good.
And when we add those sun-dried tomatoes and they're dehydrated, they really absorb all of the flavors of the sauce. So you can see that they kind of puff back up. And then we have a 10-ounce box of pasta that we cooked till al dente, and then we're gonna add it to the cream sauce. So you can go ahead and add that, Mom.
Okay.
And I like brown rice pasta. I find that it has a really similar texture as white, but it's more nutritious. But you can use any type of pasta that you have on hand. We'll just kind of stir this in the last few minutes of cooking. Just add the pasta to the saute pan, and you can see how quick and easy this was too. I mean, we didn't make homemade pasta by any means, but it still smells and looks delicious, doesn't it?
It does.
I did make homemade pasta for a cooking class here for mine and Sean's baby moon. So when we were getting ready to have Maddie, and it was our last trip together, we did a cooking class and we made homemade pasta. It was the best thing I've ever eaten. And I don't eat a whole lot of pasta, but I ate the entire bowl that we made because it was that good. And then you can just turn off the heat and top it with some fresh basil at the very end, so you can go ahead and add that. Okay. And that really does add a really fresh flavor. It makes it look and smell pretty, and it kind of brings you back to Italy, doesn't it?
It does. Oh, I wish everybody could smell that. It smells so good.
All right, well, I can't wait to have you try this and see if it really does remind you of your trip to Italy.
I can't wait.
Well, Mom, it was so fun to have you. Thanks for sharing all of your trips around the world. I would love if you tried the Italian pasta and see what you think. The sun-dried tomato creamy pasta that we made.
It looks so delicious.
I have to say, all of these smell so good and they look so good. There's something about around the world that just adds all of the wonderful smells, colors, flavors. What do you think?
I'm definitely making this one.
All right.
So good.
10 out of 10?
A 15.
All right, even better. Well, if you'd like to find any of these recipes, you can head over to dashingdish.com, where you'll find recipes and more to nourish your body and soul.